Hey friends, I'm Nathan Mayo, and I serve as the chairman of the board of Berean Holiness. And we're meeting at a regular board meeting behind the scenes, as we often do, to keep the ministry on track, sustainable, and accountable. We've got a great team of people from around the country that help us do that. In front of the scenes, you see the amazing content and the changed lives as we guide believers out of fear and shame and into the gospel of grace. I think the results really speak for themselves, but so many of you have spoken back to us through surveys and comments you've left here and there, and the results are very encouraging. Tracy, could you share one of those recent testimonies?
Absolutely, I can. I don't know if I would still be a Christian without Berean Holiness. It was a sermon clip from a CHM minister lambasting pages like Berean that led me down the rabbit hole of their Facebook page and website. For the first time in years, I read the stories of others with similar experiences and began to find healing. I went from being so unsure of my relationship with God to finding new depths within 2 months. After finding Berean, someone invited me to an incredible church, and I was able to rejoin a body of believers. After lacking fellowship for so many years, God is using this page in many incredible ways.
That's so true. And I'm also so encouraged that stories like that, they aren't an exception. They're really the rule. And we've done some surveys. We hear back from our followers from all over the place. Tim, could you just share the results of some of those most recent surveys?
Sure. Here's some stats that people have shared from the last couple of years. 43 people said Berean holiness was influential in their salvation or their return to faith. 46 people said Berean holiness was influential in them returning to church. In 2023 alone, 61 people said Berean holiness was influential in their decision to find a healthy church. 82 people said Berean holiness was influential in their decision to leave an unhealthy movement. 141 people said Berean holiness was influential in them changing beliefs on significant doctrines. 249 people said Berean holiness was influential in them changing beliefs on holiness standards. 253 people said Berean holiness was influential in them coming to understand the biblical gospel. And 432 people said Berean holiness was influential in them leaving hyper-fundamentalism and rebuilding their faith.
Wow. If you just step back and think about it, even just those first two numbers you shared, Tim, imagine just a small church outreach ministry that's mostly volunteer run. And in the past year, 43 people have come to Christ and 46 people have started attending the church who weren't attending church before then. Like, that's just amazing from this ministry. And in addition to the content that drives this kind of impact, there's a lot of work behind the scenes. In addition to what our board is doing, there's work by our staff. They're connecting one-to-one with hundreds of questioners, over 600 in just this past year alone, and the year's not even finished yet. And there's work that our followers don't even see yet to build scalable deep dive courses and video content and things that are really going to take this message to the next level. But we want to share with you, our supporters, that for the next couple of years, Berean is really at a critical moment. Berean has run for most of the last 5 years on exclusively volunteer effort. And over the past year, with the formalization of our 501c3 status, we've been able to hire very limited staff, some contractors, and to partially compensate our executive director for a few hours of her full-time effort. And the response from our donor base and people like those serving on the board has been very encouraging to make that a reality. And it couldn't have come at a better time, because it is frankly the moment in the life cycle of the organization when many comparable ministries would be either shutting down or significantly scaling back. Because ministries like this that are driven by the volunteer passion of a founder are eventually overwhelmed, usually by the cares of life, things like families growing and that question that Natalie has been plagued with for years now: when are you going to get a real job? So authoritarian church leaders would very much like to see Natalie get a real job and see us shut down and close up shop. But by the grace of God, we fully intend to disappoint them. It's a critical transition point. We've seen so much encouraging progress from the donor base that we have. And we're moving from running solely on the fuel of a founder's passion to building a reliable institutional engine that's going to outlast anyone on this call, anyone serving in the ministry today. Because there's a lot of work that God still wants to accomplish through Berean Holiness. We think this ministry should grow, we think it should last, and we think it should continue to shake theologies that are built on foundations of sand. I'm pleased to have a chance to be a part of that. And not only do the people on this board meeting agree with that, but we have some financial supporters who really want to help our donor base take things to the next level. So starting now through December 31st, we are excited to announce that your financial gifts are going to be matched up to $10,000. All gifts are going to be matched 2-to-1, and new gifts are going to be matched 3-to-1. So if you've never given back to support this ministry, this is a great time to start with a 3-to-1 match. And if you're a regular giver, your contributions will be going twice as far this season. What does that giving do? It not only keeps going the ministry that you love, but we're making plans just this evening to increase our content production, to make a hire that's going to allow us to make that a reality. And we can lay the plans, but God has ultimately given you the resources to make those plans a reality. And if you think this ministry needs to happen, then we thank you for entrusting some of those resources to us. Jessica, why don't you share why you're excited about the ministry of Berean and supporting it into the future?
You know, Nathan, one of the most effective marketing strategies is to create an exclusive problem and then sell an exclusive solution. And I think that that is the thing that we bump up against to one degree or another over and over and over again in this work that we're doing. And it's particularly damaging when it's tied to our eternal state, right? And one of the things that I love most about Berean Holiness and our mission is that we keep pointing back to the simplicity of the gospel of grace. We get tied up a lot with all of the personalities and all of the viral videos and all of those things, which are just a part of it. But we keep pointing back to the gospel of grace. And I don't want to do anything else. There's eternal consequences at stake.
The old paths of the gospel are good enough for Berean Holiness, and we're going to help a lot of people get back on that old path. Thanks so much for being a part of that with us.